What's up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about 10 college football coaches on the hot seat. It's actually going to be 9 because, full disclosure, I made this list before Chip Kelly took the Ohio State offense coordinator job, and he is on this list. We'll skip him when we get to it, but I'll throw you a couple extra names at the end of this list so we can actually get 11 instead of 10. How about that? All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. All right, and first off, obviously Chip Kelly, and skip him. All right, Sam Pittman, Arkansas. Things have kind of gone downhill for Sam Pittman at Arkansas. You think back to, a couple years ago, they actually were having some pretty good, like borderline top 25 success with KJ Jefferson, but things have just headed downhill. And then with them bringing Bobby Petrino back in as offense coordinator, seems like the writing's kind of on the wall. He's probably going to get canned after the first 4 or 5 weeks. And then come conference play time, Petrino will be the interim head coach, riding out the ship there. But yeah, unfortunately things haven't went as to plan with Sam Pittman. It seems like it's ran its course. Next up, Jake Dickert, Washington State. Fun name to say. You have seen his name associated with a bunch of other jobs lately, and really this is focused on this year. They reached top 10 level at the beginning of the season with Cam Ward, and then just completely tanked after that, lost 8 games in a row come Pac-12 play, and Pac-12 is not just the strongest conference. It's not like it's the gauntlet that's the SEC or Big Ten, So, yeah, it sounds like he's trying to get out, trying to get back to the Power 5 level, because Washington State kind of took that demotion, getting left out of the party without the rest of the Pac-12. And seems like he's trying to get out, and like I said, he hasn't really won as much as I would hope as far as they had. Seemed like the potential they had this year. Now, Washington State's not just the easiest place to win by any means, and he didn't come in under the easiest circumstances necessarily. They fired their whole last staff because they refused to get the COVID vaccine or something. So it's kind of a big deal going on there whenever he got there, but really hasn't been as good as I was hoping. Next up, Tony Elliott, Virginia. I remember he was at Clemson for a while, and Virginia just hasn't been very good under him. I think they had 3 wins last year and really don't see any improvement coming. They're probably going to still be a bottom dweller in the ACC. Really don't see it turning around, and really I think they need to go another direction and kind of make themselves more appealing with all this expansion that's going on, because really Virginia is a pretty, not necessarily saying you can win the national championship there, but realignment-wise, they're a really big domino that the Big Ten and the SEC are really interested in, from what I've heard, just because that's an untapped market, Virginia, that those 2 conferences are looking to get into. So if they can make themselves a little more marketable, find maybe even, not saying it'll happen, if you could bring in a Dion or something, make yourself more marketable, kind of to hope to get to that level. I'm not saying they should go get Dion, but that type of person, to kind of make yourself more marketable for now. Next up, Pat Narduzzi, Pitt. I think he's done a really good job at Pitt, actually. Really only had a bad year this year. I wouldn't fire him if I was the Pitt AD, but I've heard that they're kind of getting fed up with what's going on at Pitt as far as they expect more. But really, he's done pretty good at Pitt. For the expectations, they're not going to win a national championship. He's had them pretty consistent as far as 8-9 wins, 7-8-9, right in there, that direction, maybe above or below, give or take a year. But I think he's done a really good job, but it sounds like he's on the hot seat from what I've heard. And if they don't reach close to double-digit wins this year, it sounds like he might be on the outs. Next up here, Justin Wilcox. All right. You see his name thrown around a lot with various jobs that it seems like he is trying to get out of there, similar with Dickert. He's had so-so success at Cal. I really don't know what Cal's expectations are. They're not going to probably win a national championship, They're moving to the ACC, so it's kind of a fresh start of sorts. And, I don't know. Like I said, he gets his name thrown around with a lot of these jobs, so he is getting in the interview room, it sounds like, for these Power 4 jobs or whatever, they are now. So it sounds like he's trying to get out. And he hasn't just had the most success there. They may make the occasional bowl game, but they're not setting the world on fire. They're not going to be a top 25 team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cal goes a different direction here soon. Next up, Clark Lee, Vanderbilt head coach. All right, Vanderbilt's not an easy place to win by any means, but he definitely hasn't won at Vanderbilt, and it's tough to fire an alum. He is from there. He played there, I believe. He went to school at Vanderbilt. So it's tough to fire that guy. But really, Vanderbilt, you don't really see it getting any better at the moment. And like I said, it's not the best place to be. Obviously, it's not expected to be a top 25 school by any means. And with the SEC only getting tougher, adding Oklahoma and Texas, that's less wins for you, actually, unless you just have a really good schedule that year. So it's only going to get tougher. And Vanderbilt probably needs to make a change now and try to make a big splash before it's too late, Next up, Billy Napier, Florida. All right, writing's on the wall here, which I'm really surprised by this. I really thought he was a good hire at Florida. Won a ton of ball games at Louisiana. Had them top 25-ish. I think he won 3. He had like 3 double-digit win seasons in a row at Louisiana. I thought it was a really good hire at Florida. And he's one of those guys that'll probably get fired here and then go have success at a Group of 5 school. Some of those guys are just meant to be a Group of 5, or it's just not the right Power 5 fit. He may come back to the Power 5 10 years down the road and have success at a different school. But seems like Florida's not the fit for him. Florida should be a top 25 team every year, should be challenging for a playoff every year probably, and that's just not going to happen right now under Billy Napier. Next up, Dave Aranda, Baylor. All right, kind of the lust is wore off here. Kind of strange, all right? Like in his first year, I think they won the Big 12 championship, or at least made the Big 12 championship. Since then, it's just been headed downhill. I mean, they lost to Texas State this year in a bye game. You're basically paying them to come play you, and you lose that game. It's straight up embarrassing. Sad news is I think the guy he lost to in that game, G.J. Kinney, is probably going to be the next Baylor head coach. But, yeah, Dave Aranda, really a fall from grace. He was the LSU DC. Everybody wanted him. And, yeah, it hasn't worked at Baylor. And like I said, it started really strong, but it's just gotten worse and worse every year. And unless he has a super bounce back year this year, like reaching double-digit wins, I don't really see it happening. All right, last but not least here, Marcus Freeman. All right, he's not necessarily a hot name on the hot seat that you'll hear, but from rumblings I've heard, they're kind of growing, I won't say tired, but he's not getting to the level that Brian Kelly had him at Notre Dame. And obviously, Brian Kelly's a tremendous coach. It's not easy. He's had them at top 25-ish every year, but Notre Dame really wants to challenge for that playoff every year. So are they going to get fed up and say, hey, we need to make the playoff. We got to go all in now, and that might happen. Marcus Freeman, I think he's an okay coach. Like I said, has them at top 25-ish every year, but can you get a better coach? Could you fire Marcus Freeman and go get a Luke Fickell? Is that something you could do? I don't know. If you could bring in somebody like that, I think you would do it because Luke Fickell's a pretty good head coach. Just throwing that name out there, for example. So, yeah, if they're not content with being a top 25 team every year, if they want to challenge for that playoff, they might have to make a change because I don't know if Marcus Freeman's going to make the playoff. All right, so I told you I'd give you a couple extra names here at the end. Let me give you 2 real quick. All right, first up, I don't have the pictures of them, but Ryan Walters, Purdue head coach, obviously trying to follow in Jeff Brom's shoes, which went to Louisville. Not an easy task by any means. I think he's kind of on the hot seat because Purdue is just slowly shrinking to the back of the Big Ten, and I don't think he's going to have success this year either. Last but not least here, Scott Satterfield, Cincinnati coach, came over from Louisville, kind of a weird transition there. Was pretty bad in year 1 in the Big 12. We'll see if he has any improvement this season. I don't think he will. So Cincinnati will probably be looking for a new coach next year. But those are 2 other names to keep an eye on. But who would you add to this list as far as hot seat wise? Who do you think's in the hot seat going in the next season? Who would you take off of this list? Who do you think's not on the hot seat? Let me know as well. If you got any questions, I want to be featured on my next college football mailbag. Shoot me an email. You'll see my email scrolling down below, or shoot me a DM on Twitter at one of those 2 things. All right, and you'll have a chance to be featured on my next mailbag episode. But let me know your thoughts on this hot seat. Who should be added? Who should be taken off? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. Most importantly,